Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Wednesday. It's April 23rd, 2025. Today is day 565 since October 7th of 2023. And before I started giving news from the last day or so, I wanted to say thank you to all of you who watch these daily videos. I had the opportunity as I've traveled on speaking tours in the US, but also the Middle East, to meet so many people who are coming together in prayer and solidarity to end the aggressions that are happening in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank and other parts of the occupied Palestinian territories. So many people who've said, this is tearing us apart. How do we bring an end to death and suffering? How do we not allow our hearts to be consumed, to give in to despair or grief or to feel immobilized? And I think one of the ways that we do that is by being in solidarity together with the Christian community throughout the Middle East, in Gaza, in Palestine and Israel, but also that we seek collective liberation. And I know that that term is very contentious because I'm not talking about compromising on injustices, addressing injustices. I'm not talking about compromising on human rights. I'm talking about the fact that none of us is completely redeemed before God, and that there are every people group has responsibility while there are power differentials. Israel has responsibilities as an occupying power to care for the people it is occupying. The occupation itself is illegal, so we're calling for an end to the occupation. But the Israeli state and the leadership in Israel is culpable for the deaths of tens of thousands of civilians, as is the US government that is arming this military, that is arming this war, this ethnic cleansing, this genocide. And so we need to together try to hold our own country in the US accountable, the international community to come together and to seek liberation together for the Palestinian people, but also for ourselves. So an update, please. I seek to use these daily updates as fodder for prayer. Fael works on these with me every single day behind the scenes. We're so grateful. And welcome your comments and feedback and encouragement and challenge, because we're in this together and we're learning as we go. An update of the last 24 hours. Some of this is from the last 48 hours because I just got home to the US, Washington, D.C. from the Middle East. And so with the time differences and things, some of these things happened just over a day ago. Qatar and Egypt have mediators who proposed a new plan to end the war in Gaza. They're proposing a truce that would last 5 to 7 years. It would include the release of Israeli hostage and Palestinian prisoners all at once. It would be a formal end to the war. It would be a complete withdrawal of the Israeli military from Gaza. That's according to Palestinian officials. We don't know. Israel and Hamas have not yet commented on the mediator's newest plan, and so we're waiting to hear. Israel launched yesterday one of the biggest waves of strikes in Gaza in weeks, according to residents. Airstrikes killed 22 Palestinians since Monday evening, and so the spokespeople in Gaza warned the ministry anticipates a real catastrophe if Israel continues to block the supply of polio vaccines as well. And so the situation in Gaza continues to get worse and worse. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society Tuesday rejected the findings of Israel's probes into the killing of 15 medical workers last month, describing it as a fabricated investigation. The Israeli army announced the results of the investigation on Sunday, and they said that it was because of professional failures. Today, Israeli airstrikes killed at least 17 people. They destroyed bulldozers and other heavy equipment supplied by mediators to clear out rubble in Gaza. The Israeli army claimed Hamas was using machinery for planting explosives, digging tunnels, and breaching fences. Over 400 patients in Gaza have died because they required dialysis treatment, because of a lack of proper treatment over the last 18 plus months. This represents about 40% of all the dialysis recipients in the territory. And Gaza's health ministry has been denied or they have denied manipulating the war's death toll figures. There apparently have been disparities between August and October of 2024 and lists from March of 2025, including fatalities. There's been according to the health ministry in Gaza, there's been an ongoing revision and verification process. Initially, I thought that this was about a shifting in the methodology and some of the numbers that happened many, many months ago. I remember when this happened. I don't remember the exact time frame, but this is actually a recent concern. This was reported by BBC News. And so it seems like it's a question of the current list of fatalities. Many have argued that the conditions in Gaza are so bad that having any type of accurate death toll is a monumental feat. The vast majority of experts have said that the number killed is much higher than what has been actually reported. In Syria, authorities arrested 2 senior members of the Palestinian armed faction of the Islamic Jihad. The arrest marks a reversal from the former Assad regime's policies, which tolerated the presence of Palestinian armed groups in the Syrian territory. The United States on Monday, Republican Representative Don Bacon from Illinois yesterday became the first sitting GOP lawmaker to indirectly call for Hegseth's dismissal. So I think this was yesterday, but this came out on Tuesday. So I think this was talking about on Monday. He called for his alleged disclosure of sensitive information about military operations in Yemen on Signal. He called them unacceptable, saying that it was a sign of an amateur person. So this Republican representative was calling for Hegseth's dismissal. Then Tuesday, the former chief of the Pentagon spokesperson, John Oliot, wrote a Politico piece that was an opinion piece that came out on Sunday, and he said it's been a month of total chaos at the Pentagon. It's hard to see Defense Secretary Hegseth remaining in his role much longer. According to the AP sources, Elliott, who was the spokesperson for the Pentagon, was asked to resign from the Defense Department last week. The White House began a process of looking for a new defense secretary to replace Pete Hegseth, NPR cited a U.S. official as saying, but then striking a different note, Trump yesterday said he has full confidence in the Secretary of Defense, that Hegseth has his confidence. He said he considers concerns over the defense secretary's decision to share military attack plans in a Signal group chat to be a waste of time. Al Jazeera published an article today, and I wanted to close with this, quoting a member of the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza, saying that His Holiness Pope Francis gave them strength, that Gaza Christians remember their calls with His Holiness Pope Francis. 72-year-old Kamal Anton said that Pope Francis was a source of comfort and support. Kamal has had to shelter since the start of the war in the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza City, and his wife and daughter were shot and killed by an Israeli sniper in that same location in December of 2023. That was only 2 months after the start of the war. The late Pope, who died at age 88 in Vatican City on Monday after a battle with illness, was a constant support and in constant contact with the community, the small Christian community in Gaza. Before his illness, Pope Francis had calls every evening with those sheltering in the Holy Family Church. He continued to reach out on a less regular basis, even after he became sick. And my understanding was that even when he was in the hospital, he would call the church. Kamal remembered his most recent call on Saturday, 2 days before Pope Francis's death. And Pope Francis was greeting the members of the church on Easter. During his call, he prayed for peace and resilience for us in Gaza. He never forgot the word peace in any of his calls with us throughout the war. His support included all of us, Christians and Muslims alike. He prayed daily for our safety. A deep sense of grief and sorrow has permeated the Holy Family Church, where 550 displaced Christians continue to seek shelter. Israel has attacked the church and its neighboring schools several times during the war, including a July 2024 attack in which 4 people were killed. The other main church in Gaza, St. Porphyrius' Greek Orthodox Church, has also been bombed. But the Holy Family Church remains a refuge. People still gather inside every day. Piano music accompanies hymns during prayer. The people greet Father Gabriele Romanelli, who I mentioned. Romanelli was not in Gaza on October 7th, but he demanded to be returned to his congregation so that he could be with them to live out the last 18 months. He's the parish priest, an Argentinian who came to Gaza to lead the church 15 years ago. I had the privilege of meeting him in 2022. After the death of the Pope, those in the church have largely dressed in black, a color of mourning. The loss of the leader of their church was a solemn enough event, but Palestinian Christians know they also have lost one of their greatest defenders, a world leader who has long backed the Palestinian cause and has earned the anger of Israel on a number of occasions for his defense of Palestinians. In his final public speech delivered on his behalf on Easter, Francis called for peace in Gaza and urged the warring sides to agree to a ceasefire, release of the hostages, and to provide aid to a starving people longing for a peaceful future. Father Romanelli told Al Jazeera that the loss of Pope Francis was a tragedy for Christians around the world, particularly in Gaza. He recalled that Saturday phone call with the Pope. He was praying for us, supporting us, and he thanked us for our prayers, Romanelli said. But as the church waited for his call daily, he would speak to the children and he would reassure them. He was deeply human and incredibly supportive, especially during the war. Kamal noted that support from Pope Francis was also material in the form of aid arriving in Gaza until the recent blockage of all entry of goods from March, just before it unilaterally broke a ceasefire. Everyone in Gaza knows how much the Vatican supported us. We always shared that aid with our Muslim neighbors as well. Kamal's fellow Palestinian Christian, a 74-year-old named Maher Terzi, is also in mourning. Maher, who has been displaced since the first week of the war, had just sat in the mourning hall when he spoke to Al Jazeera. Speaking of Pope Francis, he said he gave us strength. He told us not to be afraid. He was with us and would never abandon us, no matter what. He encouraged us to hold on to our land and promised to help us rebuild our destroyed homes. His death is a catastrophe and a shock for all of us at such a difficult time. My prayer is that the memory of His Holiness Pope Francis would be a blessing, that we may follow in his footsteps, seeking to live out kindness, love, and mercy, while also offering physical care and provision for those who are in need. We pray for all of the Catholic cardinals and all who are managing the estate affairs at the Vatican and who in the next couple of weeks will be entering into conclave for the selection of a new pope. May God give them wisdom. May God give all of us wisdom as we seek to respond to the brokenness within ourselves, within the Middle East, and within the world. May Christ go before us in his name. Amen.